Good morning and welcome to a CalTAP presentation with the VA. Today we're going to be discussing veteran and caregiver support. My name is David Vaughn. I am a CalTAP training coordinator with the California Department of Veteran Affairs. Please take a moment to virtually sign in on this page so we can keep accountability and reach out to you for virtual events and future seminars, webinars. So please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and your consent is required. Participating in this meeting will act as your acknowledgement for the recording. If you do experience a loss of internet connection or service, please rejoin the webinar by utilizing that link provided in that email that was sent out by Zoom. My name is David Vaughn. I've been serving in the U.S. Army for 24 years. I'm currently a first sergeant in the United States Reserves. I've worked for the federal government for over 20 years, and I've recently just joined the team for the state of California. So today we're going to discuss how our home and community services, advanced care planning, and caregiver support program. And this is all going to be presented by Michael Zeeb. He's an outreach coordinator with the VA Caregiver Support Program. Then we're going to go into what benefits that California has, and I'm going to present that as it's going to be an abundance of information and great benefits for you. And then Mr. Kirk Eller, my colleague, he's going to talk about the links, roles, and responsibilities. And then we're going to sum it up with questions and answers if there are any. Michael,
Good
welcome.
morning, everyone. The Veterans Health Administration Caregiver Support Program is happy to be here today to explain the Caregiver Support Program. I want to start up on next slide, please. So I want to share a story, a caregiver, Samantha, and her son, David, who she was caring for her son after he got home from serving his country. And Samantha had found herself confused, stressed, and lonely, caring for her son. Her son came back and was medically discharged from the Army with PTSD and paranoid schizophrenia. Samantha was at the point where she was feeling depressed. She blamed herself for her feelings of not doing enough for her son. And so she reached out to the Caregiver Support Program. She learned skills to help care for and protect her son. And through it all, she learned a lot about herself and has learned to love her role as a caregiver. She also gives back to other caregivers, mentoring those in similar situations. Samantha is one of so many caregivers we serve who have had similar thoughts and feelings and worries about the veteran they care for. Next slide, please. Just like Samantha had told us, so many other caregivers have shared their story with positive impacts in their caregiving journey. They have a sense of fulfillment, connecting with others on a similar journey, feeling needed, and feeling like they have a role. They learn a lot about oneself and even what's important in life. Next slide. Some of the additional impacts with the RAND study focused on military and veteran caregivers with higher stress, higher levels of depression, strain, decline on physical health, and in the AARP and National Alliance for Caregiving, focusing on U.S. caregivers, showed that 23% of caregivers report worsened health. They found it difficult to care for their own health needs, and 21% feeling alone. Next slide, please. These, among other countless reasons, are why I'm proud to serve in the Caregiver Support Program, reaching out to the caregivers who serve our nation's veterans. And recently, the VA put the caregiver in the VA mission statement, making a promise to care for those who served our nation, their families, caregivers, and survivors. The Caregiver Support Program mission is to promote the health and well-being of family caregivers, and we do that through education, resources, support, and services. Next slide. The Caregiver Support Program has a wide range of services available, and we work diligently to get the right support to each caregiver at the right time. So we're going to take a look at some of these supports. Next slide. So we offer skills training to help the caregivers develop the skills they need. One of those is the VA Safe for Caregivers. We understand that the caregivers play an important role in suicide prevention and that they may be the first to notice changes in the veteran, or may be the one that a veteran turns to when having suicidal thoughts. The training provides information and steps anyone can take when a veteran may be at risk for suicide, and it is critically important that caregivers have the tools they need to intervene. We've also linked a suicide prevention toolkit for caregivers that's available on our website. We provide CPR for caregivers. Many of our sites are offering CPR for caregivers for free, and this initiative supports the goal of having a lifesaver in every home. Next slide. So we understand that caregivers cannot come to all in-person offerings, so we want to make other supports available to them, such as the anti-text messaging, which sends a text to caregivers to help them feel more supportive. Some examples of the text are: don't second guess yourself, trust the healthcare system, and trust yourself. The Building Better Caregivers workshop, we get a lot of positive feedback on this. It's an online workshop. It's 6 weekly self-paced lessons with facilitator guidance and group support. Once the caregiver completes the training, they have access to an alumni community for program graduates so that they can provide mentoring to other caregivers. Our Caregiver Support Program website has a lot of fact sheets and toolkits and videos with some examples such as dementia series videos on how to safely transfer a veteran to and from wheelchair, to and from the tub, and so on. Next slide. So we also support the caregivers with one-on-one coaching, which we call Caregiver Health and Wellbeing, which is a whole health, whole person approach, and it focuses on what matters to you and not what is the matter with you. Focus is solely on the caregiver and what they want for their health to help motivate them by those things they value most. The coach guides the caregiver through identifying their needs, setting goals, and working towards them to help them obtain them. The Reach VA, which is resources for enhancing all caregivers' health, is individual coaching, where the coach works with the caregiver directly to target problem behaviors and challenges the caregiver is facing with the veteran. It helps the caregiver develop specific strategies through the intervention and assist the caregiver in their role while also providing support to the caregiver. The coach helps the caregiver enhance their skills and provide a community, reducing sense of isolation. The coaching is available for specialty populations as well, such as PTSD, dementia, MS, and ALS. The one-on-one clinical support is offered to our staff based on the clinical needs of the caregiver from a person-centered approach. Next slide. We understand that caregiving can be an isolating experience, and through our groups, we help caregivers feel less alone and learn from them, such as the Reach VA Caregiver. The same coaching and self-care skills I told you about, but in a group setting. The caregiver learns and practices skills in a group setting, and they share their ideas and tips with their peers. The Caregivers First is an evidence-based caregiving skills group training program with the goal of connecting caregivers with each other and to resources. It helps them feel more confident and capable and supported in their caregiving role. The group is often best received by caregivers who are new in their role or new to VA. The self-care and wellness courses, some of them Practicing Your Way to Resilience series, Wellness Through Mindfulness, and self-care courses for caregivers, with some examples being handling emotions, lowering stress, and improving mood. The support groups are in person, virtual, or hybrid, and some of the groups are based on a specific disease, such as PTSD, Parkinson's, or TBI. Next slide. Some things that only a caregiver who has walked in a similar journey can understand. So we provide peer support mentoring, which matches a caregiver with a trained mentor, which is another caregiver, who may be further along in their journey to share their experience. It offers networking and decreases the sense of isolation caregivers often feel. Next slide. The caregiver support program staff, they help connect those caregivers to resources, whether it's in the VA or in the community. The annual Caregiver and Family Resource Fair this month is National Family Caregivers Month in November, and every facility across the country is doing some sort of a resource fair to help caregivers get the right community resources in their specific communities and at their VA. Next slide. So this year, we provided our teams to really push respite, and it comes in many different forms. The informal, such as friends and family, neighbors, the formal, paid professionals, and even internal, where the caregiver does not even need to rely on anyone, such as taking a mindful cup of coffee and sitting out on the porch for a few minutes. The formal respite care is offered via our sister service, Geriatrics and Extended Care, and our teams work closely with them and with others to help build a plan. The respite tool, it was designed to help caregivers incorporate respite into their daily lives, and the tools help them remember what brings them joy, which sometimes often caregivers lose sight of in their caregiving role. There's also a guide caregivers can do to consider what they want their respite for and to take the action needed to make sure that they get their respite. Next slide. This number here on your screen, the 855-260-3274, is our caregiver support line, staffed by clinical social workers, and they respond to caregivers, veterans, and community agencies and provide and connect caregivers to their local caregiver support program team. They also provide a listening ear if that's what's needed. Next slide. And they provide education calls in English and in Spanish. The first 3 sessions in the month are English. The last one is in Spanish for those Spanish-speaking populations. And they host those calls with topics varying each month. For example, money management, burnout, caring for a veteran with a mental health diagnosis are just a few of the education calls that they do for our caregivers. Next slide. So how does a caregiver emerge in these amazing services? There's 2 ways. The caregivers can enroll through the program of General Caregiver Support Services, which I'll refer to as PGCSS, or they can apply to and be approved for the Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, which is PCFC. Next slide. So the PGCSS, to qualify, the veteran must be enrolled in VA healthcare, need assistance with an ADLs or supervision or protection. The veteran must agree to receive care from the caregiver. And on the fact sheet, there's some more information and tips on the PGCSS program. Next slide. For PGCSS, all the services and training I talked about in the previous slides are included to include skills training, clinical services to support caregiver health and well-being, and respite. Next slide. The enrollment process for PGCSS is very simple. They'll contact their local caregiver support team. No formal application is required. They complete a brief intake and caregiver assessment with the local CSP team to understand the veteran and caregiver needs. From here, the team helps the caregiver engage in available support. Next slide. The Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, also known as PCAFC, next slide, has 7 veteran eligibility requirements to meet the criteria for this program, including the veteran must have a serious injury, any service-connected disability at 70% or more, or combined service-connected disabilities rated at 70% or more by VA. The veteran must need of in-person personal care services for a minimum of 6 continuous months based on one or more of the following. So as you can see here, that an inability to perform their daily living, a need for supervision or protection, and a need for a regular or extensive instruction or supervision. Next slide. In addition to the services and supports covered so far, those who participate in PCAFC also have access to the enhanced respite care, the counseling, the virtual psychotherapy. The VA caregiver support team has implemented a virtual psychotherapy program for caregivers to meet the counseling needs of caregivers approved for the PCFC. The focus is on the unique mental health needs of caregivers, the same way the VA specializes in the unique mental health needs of veterans. The caregiver gets beneficiary travel to take the veterans to and from their appointment, the monthly stipend, the CHAMP VA access if the caregiver is uninsured, and the legal and financial planning services, which includes simple will, advanced directives, debt and credit management, and 90-day financial coaching. Next slide. So for this component, the PCFC, there is an application. The caregiver can go online, which is highly recommended because it's more efficient. There's also the paper copy of the 1010 CG that the caregiver and veteran can fill out and mail in. Next slide. And so on the application for the 6 continuous months, and I'm going off script here, I mean, I just want to give a tip or a trick. When a service officer, anybody's helping a veteran or caregiver fill out their paperwork to send off for the comprehensive program, I encourage you to ask the veteran and caregiver if they have had that 6 months of continuous service, if that was provided non-VA. So for example, veteran goes in for care, for whatever reason that VA can't provide the care and they defer the veteran to community care. That veteran goes out to community care, they get their care, VA pays for it, and life is good. However, when the application goes through and they're processing it, if that documentation is not uploaded into CPRS at VA, the application can be denied because they can't see that 6 continuous months of service. So if you have a veteran caregiver come in and you're helping them fill that out, I would just ask the question, have you gotten care outside the VA? If the answer is yes, the next question, did you get the documentation and bring it to a VA so it could be uploaded into the veteran service chart? All right, back on the slides here. So we have a caregiver support team at every VA medical center across the country. And the team uses a person-centered approach to meet caregivers where they are at and then help them connect to the right resources and services for them. Next slide. So here we had some testimonials sent into our office, and I wanted to share some of those. And thinking back where we started with Samantha, she learned about self-care through the caregiver support program. She was able to focus on her own health and well-being, which for her was exercising more and eating healthy foods. She has the skills she can do to tap into to help on those difficult days of caregiving. And she now helps mentor other caregivers to also feel empowered and less alone. She knows when and who she can reach out to for help and feels better on the days where it might be a little more challenging to be a caregiver. Next slide. So I'd like to thank everyone for being here for this presentation. We have our caregiver support line here again, the 855-260-3274. And you can also find your local team by clicking on the caregiver website on your screen and going to the locator for your local caregiver. Thank you all, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Michael. That was a lot of good information. And this will be on our YouTube channel. So it is there for your enjoyment later down the road. So we're going to get into CalVet, federal benefits, or not federal, but state benefits. So what you're looking at is the overall coverage for the veteran. You have your federal coverage, which is nationwide, and you also have your state coverage, which is CalVet. Every state has its own state department. We are yours. And there are 58 counties in California, and each county does have their county service BSO. And you also have your service providers that are embedded into your communities, like the DAV. The Swords to Plowshares is a Northern California organization, but there's a similar one down south. And you also have the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. So all together, you are covered nationally, that people that want to take care of you. As you can see in this webinar, we do not work for each other, we work with each other to support the veterans. So the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs is broken up into 3 different pillars. Your Veteran Health Administration, that is where you're going to get all your appointments and to take care of yourself medically. Then you also have your Veteran Benefits. That's where you're going to get your compensation, your education benefits. And then you also have your cemetery benefits. That's where they're going to lay you to rest and where your legacy does begin. And they take care of numerous things. You also have benefits through the state. This is just a snapshot of all the good benefits that we do offer. And the first step of obtaining these benefits is registering with the VA. So what is CalTAP? Well, we are designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their earned federal and state benefits, as well as provide continued support and assistance as their needs change over through our 5 pathways: the core curriculum, education, employment, and entrepreneurship, and service providers. Service providers is a pathway that educates and trains providers that do want to work with the veteran community or the community and understand like our thought process and how to better serve us. So we do understand that things do change over time. A veteran, their daily activities, their life will change. They have kids, they want new careers. And we just want to know, or want you to know, that we are here every step of the way. And this is the veteran life cycle. So when we do say every step of the way, we really mean it, from joining the service and separating, becoming a veteran, all the way to the start of your legacy. We are here every step of the way. So what you are looking at our webpage, and there are a few things that are circled. The first one I want to point out is our CalTAP. If you go into this link, you'll have all of our pathways open to you 24/7 where you can learn and dive in and just get familiar with all your state benefits. The second one is to find a local CDSO. We rely heavily on our CDSOs to help with those benefits to verify your DD-214, your DMV benefits, which we'll go over later in this presentation. And of course, at the very bottom, we have our veteran resource book. That is our most up-to-date version of our book. It's PDF style, so you can always have it on your mobile devices, readily and accessible. This is what our paperback book looks like. The 9th edition is coming out in spring, so we're all excited about that. And we are running very low on these books as well, so PDF is the preferred version. You ask yourself, what are my California benefits? Well, let's go into it. So first we have the college tuition fee waiver. This is for dependents. It waives tuition and state fees at the state-funded schools, community colleges, CSUs, and UCs. And then you can utilize it all the way up to your doctorate. There are 4 different categories of eligibility. You have Plan A, which is for 100% disabled, service-connected by the VA disabled veterans. And your dependents can use that. And there is an age restriction for your dependents. We have Plan B, which is from 0 to 100%. There are no age restrictions, but there is a state poverty restriction. Then what it does not cover is books, parking, dorm meals, and fees. Next, we have our veteran designated driver license. This is where you can actually get the word veteran put on your driver license. You've earned the right to be called a veteran. You should be honored to display it on your driver's license and support that community. Next, we have our motor vehicle registration fee waiver. This is for our 100% disabled veterans. They are eligible to waive the fees on one of their vehicles to the DMV. And these processes will be done through our CDSOs, your CDSOs. We also have the reduced fishing and hunting license and no-cost veteran park passes. Those are eligible for 50% disabled veterans, but they also offer 2 days free of fishing and hunting. And you can find that information on the CA Wildlife website. And as far as the state park pass, you have the opportunity to check out a park pass through your library, just like you would a book. You check it out and then you return it. It's a nice benefit for you. Then we also have the disabled veteran property tax exemption. This is also for 100% disabled veterans. And we advise and prefer you go to your city tax assessor for that information. We do Calvet Homes, which is a great opportunity. Calvet manages its own underwriting process manually, provide personal service that gives a flexibility, unlike private lenders that use automated systems. Calvet will evaluate each application individually, so you'll have a human reading this, making a judgment call. And considering unique circumstances, they may not meet standards lending criteria. This approach allows Calvet to assist veterans who may not qualify for loans through private lenders to get into their dream home. We have a women's veteran resource and minority veteran resources. They both provide information, advocacy, outreach, and support to their respective women and minority veterans. So we also have our Veteran Homes of California. This is what I would call a veterans retirement home. This is a great place to live among your fellow brothers and sisters in arms. We have 8 locations throughout the state: Barstow, Chula Vista, Fresno, Lancaster, Redding, and Ventura, West Los Angeles, and in Yountville. They have long-term care for veterans offering medical, dental, pharmacy, rehabilitation, and social activities. They offer 6 levels of care from independent living all the way to skilled nursing. The Veteran Cemetery and Barrows, in addition to the 9 federal cemeteries of the state of California, has has 3 state cemeteries. One in Central Coast, which is located near Monterey, Northern California Veteran Cemetery, which is located near Redding, Yountville Veterans Home Cemetery, which is close to Napa, and only residents of the Yountville Veteran Home may be laid to rest here, and they are in the process of building one in Southern California near Anaheim. My colleague Kirk was working the back end. As you can see, he's posted all these great links and PDFs just for your references and resources. We would like to continue to support you. So if you could provide us with your non-DoD email and email us at caltap.ca.gov. We also encourage you to register for My CalVet. Once you register, you can tailor that website to your interest and your likes. It makes it very user-friendly. And you can find us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Please attend our webinars on our YouTube, like and subscribe. And there's a lot of content there for you to just dive into and just learn all about your benefits and how to better support you. Please fill out our today's web seminar. We are really motivated on improving our program to better serve the veteran community. So please fill out those surveys. This is my contact information. You can email me or call me at Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Now my colleague, Kirk Eller, will cover the link, our local interagency part, the roles and responsibilities. Kirk?
Thank you, David, and welcome everyone. My name is Kirk Eller. I am a CalTAP training coordinator. I am not a local interagency network coordinator. However, we do have some contact information for all 8 of our links available at the end of this slide. So I'm going to be filling in and kind of just explaining what the roles and responsibilities of our link or local interagency network coordinator, what they do and how they can assist you. Next slide. This is a quick snapshot of our link map. This map has every link throughout the region. There's 8 regions from the north all the way to the south throughout the state. And this map is actually tailored to cover the FEMA emergency relief map. In each map of these regions, you can see the north area here, our colleague Cole Wagonar. He covers a very wide area of small rural counties to assist veterans in all areas of their benefits in assistance for emergencies and things like that. And then you can also see down towards the Southern California in Orange County, Mr. Ben Gales is the Orange County link, and he covers a very small region, yet he has a very high dense population of veterans in his region. So you can see the disparity between each one of these links and the areas that they cover and how many veterans that they have in their region. And they provide services to connect veterans with their benefits in a variety of ways. Next slide. And this is basically an outreach of what they do. They provide outreach and service to members and veterans and their families throughout their community. They actually make referrals. They know people in different areas of the VA, healthcare, benefits, the county, EDD, and a bunch of different areas, and they can provide you with that warm handoff instead of making a cold call or trying to reach out to them for somebody that you don't know. They know somebody in these agencies, and they can make a referral to one of the service providers. And they also assist with local emergencies. As you can tell, some of those rural areas and urban areas, when they have fires throughout the state or maybe flooding, they'll post up what's called a local assistance center. And they man these centers to provide veterans in that region that may have been impacted by these emergencies. They provide them assistance with maybe records requests or VA healthcare if they have prescriptions, and a variety of needs that they have if they are impacted with these emergencies. They also provide leadership and advocacy to local communities, assisting them in the needs of veterans in their communities. Next slide. So this is how they kind of connect to benefits. They have access to employment and training through the EDD office. They have connections with the America's Job Center of California, or the AJCC. So they can actually connect you with a disabled veteran outreach specialist or a local veterans employment representative there. They also can connect you with your state and California and state benefits through a county veteran service office, and CalVet. They can assist with veteran services to connect you with a representative there. They also have connections with the VA healthcare system and the VA benefits to assist you if you have a needs in applying for that. Next slide. Okay, so we do have 8 links. Currently, there's 7 available. Our Bay Area link is now a vacant position. Our colleague, Mr. Kevin Graves, recently retired. So there is an open position, which we would like to highlight for the Bay Area. So if you're interested in working for CalVet, you can please go on our website and look when they post that position for the link in the Bay Area. There's the email and the phone numbers for a couple of our links throughout the region. Our Central Coast link, Cole Wagner, is on the North Coast, the North Valley. Inland Empire is Merlene Steinbeck. Central Coast is Calvin Angel. Orange County is Ben Gales. LA County is Anthony Rodriguez. And our San Diego link is Lance Strong. He has changed his last name. It's Lance Junker, which is now Lance Strong. Next slide, please. And that's it. So I'm going to sign off, and we're going to go ahead and go to the question portion now. If you have any questions, my contact information is here, as well as David's. And then we have Michael Zeeb's, the caregiver support line, as well. And we would like to welcome anyone that had questions now to join us as a panelist. Michael, you can log in as well. I think we have a couple people online. If you do have a question, please open up the Q&A tab, and we can actually respond to it live. And we have the chat disabled for that purpose of posting information in the chat. So if you could open the Q&A tab if you have one, and we can address it there. Thank you. Okay, there's no open questions, David, so I guess we can continue on.
Yes. So we do have upcoming virtual workshops. We have an estate planning wealth transfer, which is on the 5th, along with an employment state highway, or hiring, which is on December 10th. And on December 10th, or as well, you have a From Service to Stability Financial Planning for the Veterans. You can register for those events using this QR code. I'll leave this up there for a few seconds if you would like to take a picture of it. Thank you for your service, everybody. We appreciate you joining us. Michael, we truly appreciate your participation in this webinar. We're going to post this on our YouTube in a later date for anybody to access it. And of course, this is our contact information. Thank you.